The beautiful giant schnauzer in this video suffers from leaking urine syndrome. The Eastman family already had a special needs dog when they welcomed Charlotte in. No one had told them what was wrong with her. Yeah, they were surprised, but they kept her anyway, though many folks they know advised them against it. It's easy to see she's happy. Gone are the sad and lonely, neglected, at-risk days. During this conversation, Heidi, her husband Greg, and their daughter Eliza share talk about Charlotte. As you watch, though she doesn't say much, right away you can see who this video is featuring. It would have been featuring Stanley too, but he's no longer here. He died
right before Christmas.
Right before Christmas. Tell me about your love affair with Charlotte. I assume you have one, to have been able to keep her and made a lot of changes because of her condition.
There is one bloodline of giant schnauzers that where the females have what they call a leaking problem.
Did you know that when you got her?
No, we feel that it's a pretty strong reason why we did get her. We had heard that she did not come from really great living conditions, basically lived in a crate in a garage, and I have a feeling it was because of the bladder issues. We don't know that for certain. We know that the family also had another giant schnauzer, a male that they kept, but we're looking to get rid of this one. And another family that we know in town had heard of this and they didn't want them to put the dog down, so they took it in with us in mind. Invited us to a New Year's Eve party at their home and said, "Oh, we know you love schnauzers. Let us introduce you to Charlotte. Happy New Year." And here she is.
Oh, I see.
So we were a little upset at first because we have a feeling that they knew as well that there were some issues with her bladder at that point, and they didn't inform us as well. But at that point, she was part of our family. I mean, she instantly fell in love with our 3 kids. So we didn't know at first if it was behavior or just nerves, or the fact that she, kind of come from living in a garage to being in a house where there were other animals and kids. After several trips to the vet, we figured out it wasn't a urinary tract infection, it wasn't behavior, it wasn't nerves, it was basically, they said she's plumbed wrong. And then we started the research.
Yeah.
What about Stanley? Was he blind when you got him?
Stanley was not. Yeah, Stanley was, he was fine right up until probably the age of 10. He almost died. 2 years before that, we brought him to the vet. They thought he had diabetes, and then one thing led to another. He ended up being on insulin for the rest of his life, and then he became blind probably the last year, would you say?
Yeah.
Of his life. And so at that time we had Charlotte incontinent, Stanley blind, and
He started
Stanley
losing his bladder as well.
having bladder trouble. So we had 2 dogs that were
wherein people would come over and we had 2 dogs in diapers, and they'd be like,
Yeah.
"What is going on at your house?" Friends and family have told us countless times, "I wouldn't have done it. I would have done something different."
Yeah.
You do what you need to. They're part of our family.
We kept on joking that we were like starting a geriatric home for dogs. But
That's been there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You kind of associate a big dog being an outdoor dog. Charlotte is more of an inside dog than any small dog ever thought of being. She would much rather be inside beside you than outside. She goes out, does her thing, and comes right back in.
How does she communicate with you? Were you with her in any special way?
It's like when she just turned her head and look at you and say, "Why don't you pat me?" Like she's done it now.
Yeah. Can she go for walks?
Oh yeah.
She does. Yeah. We all take her for walks from time to time. Part of her condition, though, when she does get overtired, it's worse.
Some days are, worse than others. We just learned to limit her water intake and
That actually was one huge thing that after all the vets that we've been through and research, no one had ever mentioned that to me until the ARC and speaking with you and some tips that they had given me and said, you know, it might sound mean to manage or limit water intake, but it has, I feel, made a big difference. I mean, in this heat, obviously, she's even more thirsty, so it's been a little bit of an increase the last couple of weeks, but it's mostly just, you know, it's when she's laying down, it's when she's relaxed, whether she's watching TV. Every morning we wake up and her blankets are wet, so every morning we do laundry. She's bathed at least once, sometimes twice a week because of the smell, but we have good weeks and we have really bad weeks, and there's no really telling.
The issue with two dogs having the same, you know, one having just can't hold it and not making it to the door, and having Charlotte being incontinent, we didn't know who was doing what.
So she won't release urine when she's lying on your lap like that? She gets
Yeah.
up on the couches?
She does not. She's not the kind of dog where you sit and watch TV and she's with you. She knows she's not allowed on the furniture, but there are times if I'm upstairs, I can hear her, ooh, free for all, I'm jumping around on the furniture, and she knows to get down because and sadly, I mean, I'd love to have her sleep in bed with that. Nope, she's right beside the bed on her blanket, but she's not allowed up on the bed. So
and seeing her now is about what we allow her to do.
Right.
You know? I mean, we're not.
And she would stay like this all day, the closest she can be.
When you're in a crate in a garage, it take a lifetime to get that back, especially from people who really want to give it to you.
And we do still, you know, like if we leave for a longer period of time than more than maybe. You know, say we're going to be gone an hour, we'll put her in a crate, but she's fine in her crate.
She always has, it came with her, it was kind of part of the package because it was a security thing for her for a long time. Also, if she's tired, the door just stays open, and that's kind of where you'll find her. So I didn't want it to have the meaning that it had for her at her first home, but if she's had too much or is tired, the door's open and she's still in there.
It's the same crate. She's still okay with it. Good for you, Charlotte.
Yeah. She has a clean blankie in there every day.
Yeah, she actually waits for us.
She will not get in the crate if the blankie has not been changed.
Yeah.
She's pretty spoiled. And her toys, you know, she has a baby in there usually. But no, it never was anything that I don't think she was afraid of. We never wanted to use it as a place of punishment or anything like that because of what she came from. But it was always kind of her security piece, and I didn't want to take that away from her either.
Tell me about the shelter experience and how that happened.
We sold a home, and a home that we had planned to move into with our dogs fell through at the last minute. So our house that we were selling, we asked them to back out of the contract because at that point we were homeless, you know, 3 kids and 2 dogs and nowhere to go. Stress levels were pretty high at that point. And then the buyers of our existing home said, no, we're not backing out of the contract. It was chaos. We were kind of backed into a corner where we didn't have a way out. We didn't have an option. Made this huge decision that, you know, maybe Charlotte needs to we didn't know where we were going, you know, so we couldn't really subject her to that.
The apartment that we were able to get into would not allow pets. So Stanley went to stay with my parents, and they can't take 2 dogs nor a big one. My mom has some difficulty getting around. And with the bladder issue, I didn't want to put that on them. So we have a very hard time as well finding kennels that will take her because of the issue. So we couldn't take her to the apartment, couldn't find anybody to take her for a little bit.
We decided there's no way either one of us would be able to put her down.
So my vet actually had suggested, why don't you call the ARC and just see?
Well, our initial conversations with the ARC were, we're looking to place our dog in another loving home. And I think that the further we got into it, they said, you know what, we know that you love this dog. I think we were probably maybe 2 weeks in, and they said, maybe we'll look at this as a boarding experience. We've never, ever done that. In this situation, I think we would. And once that was kind of said out loud, it was like, wow, you know, so it can come back to us. It's just the way it was supposed to have been.
So the agreement was, we'll kind of try out the boarding thing. During that time, if we find somebody that might like to take her, we'll let you know. It was important to me, though, when I talked with the ARC, that whoever might show interest in Charlotte as an adopted family knew about her issues 100%. I would never want what happened to us to happen to someone else, because I wouldn't want them to put her back in the garage or hurt her or get mad at her for something that's not her fault. So we decided we needed full disclosure.
We all said our goodbyes, and it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. I drove up to the ARC, you know, it's an hour and a half drive or so from my home by myself with Charlotte in the car. And I came home and I was very upset with my family and just upset with the whole situation. I was probably a little bit of a pain with the ARC because I was, you know, checking in on her and how's she doing.
She was in the shelter, what, for about a month and a half?
A month, yeah.
A month. Yeah, I remember meeting her and hearing that. Well, you know that, so I contacted you. But yeah. I think everybody at the shelter too was very sympathetic and gave her a little extra.
Oh yeah, she worked in the office and she was spoiled there too. So.
Basically what happened is I adopted my own dog back, really. We closed on one day, and the next morning I was in the car heading back up to the house. Seriously, with one of my kids this time. And I mean, I don't know, it felt like Charlotte felt like she never left, you know, and she walked into the new house. Stanley was here, and it was just like, okay, we're all together again. So that's kind of how that all worked with the ARC. They truly were a gift to us and to Charlotte, most of all.
So how did Stanley do without her?
He did all right. I mean, he had been here obviously without Charlotte, and I think from time to time he was in charge. I mean, there was no denying that. But I think they were happy, you know, when they were together again. She had a hard time when he passed away. There were a few weeks there where, you know, she was just sad. There was something missing for all of us, obviously, but she wasn't the same. Now I think she likes being the only, because I've started, I don't think Greg's ready, but I've started kind of looking again, because I think she enjoyed having a buddy. I think it keeps her more active and young, and they have company, but Greg's not there yet.
Charlotte probably got very little attention.
Yeah.
And here she is, and she's getting attention to make up for it.
Loves it.
Yeah.
She's one of the lucky ones. Yeah.
Hi.
In general, is there anything you would want to say to someone who was considering either adding an extra animal or a special needs animal?
What I would say is you have to have patience, and you have to have an understanding up front before you do it of what to expect. Because I think if we were kind of thrown into it, know what you're going to get into, do a research and see if you're that person to do it, because I don't think everyone could do it.
But you also have to think, like, if she wasn't here, she wouldn't, like, she wasn't living with us, she wouldn't be here, period. Right. So you just have to think that, and she's like the sweetest dog, like that's her one flaw, I guess. So
it's not her fault. She's not doing it on purpose. She loves us, and she just wants to please us. So by having these, look, she moves her head like, yep, I do, Mom. But she wouldn't do anything to upset us on purpose. Dogs just aren't, they're not those kind of creatures. They're just to provide you with love and caring, and if she could change it, we know that she doesn't like doing this either.
No, it's uncomfortable.
It's not her fault. When you look at a special needs dog, or if they have some issues, you have to keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. You can get upset and stressed, and you might have a few extra steps to take, but they're not doing it on purpose. They love you just the same, and you need to give that back to them.
So do you think, if you do get another dog one day, that it will be a special needs dog?
We have that experience now. We know we would try to, we may consider it.
I think if we heard of somebody again that really needed a home and was coming from a bad situation, we're
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
We've done it.
I've had people say to me, well, there are people who are not being treated as well as your dogs. I divide the love. I mean,
Right.
love is
Right.
love. Respect is respect, it seems to me. One of the reasons that I wanted to start this project was to bring some light into the situation, which for so many is horrific. To hear people tell their stories like yours is inspiring. And if enough people tell those stories, it can turn a tide, perhaps, especially in these times,
Sure.
which seem so cold sometimes for animals.
When we first got her, she like you could tell that she didn't come from like the best home because she was very shy and she never. I mean, it's annoying that she barks like all the time now, but I guess like she's comfortable here. But like when we first got her, she didn't say a word. She never. I think Stanley probably taught her to bark. But you can just tell that she's a lot happier here.
Yeah.
And I think maybe she probably peed more there because she was probably just nervous all the time and she knew that she was in trouble for even though it wasn't her problem or her fault.
Yeah.
I used to volunteer at the Humane Society in Bangor. Really sad to see because it just makes you want to take like all the animals home. I remember there was one dog there over like the course of the year that I went in, and that I think his name was Panda, and he had been returned 6 times from 6 different families, and that's just only making the problems worse. So I just think, I don't know.
Sounds like you understand them pretty well.
My mom wanted me to be a vet for a while, but I just don't think I could do that.
For every one that's taken in, you think of the millions that don't have anything, and you take care of one, you're doing it for all the rest. It becomes like a prayer.
Yeah. Yeah, we have friends of ours that adopted a special needs dog, Annie Merrill.
Oh yeah.
That's
And
a
they
mom.
get it 100%. I think some people just get it and some people don't. Some people want this little perfect pedigree dog that never has a problem and probably will pass away early of some problem. And then there are others like us and our good friends Ian and Meryl that, we don't mind some imperfection. That doesn't change them.
Yeah. I mean, this dog had like
She still
it
does.
was the legs were taller in the back. I mean, it just had some really
Heartworms.
Oh,
bad
yeah, now
issues.
she's blind and
But they
she's part of the family.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice I can talk to that friend because she gets it. I wish that my other 2 children would have been here to kind of share their love of Charlotte, but my oldest daughter, who's 21, is home this summer from college, and the second Isabella walks in the door, I mean, she's 2 steps in and she automatically drops to the floor because Charlotte comes running and Charlotte is right in the middle of her lap, and they just love for a few minutes, and then Isabella gets up and everything's good. Riley, when he comes home to visit, he's 19 and lives in New Hampshire right now, working. He comes home. It's not hi mom, it's not hi dad, it's where's Charlotte, and she just runs to him and paws her on the shoulder, and it's just amazing to watch. It makes your heart kind of fill with love because she's so happy when she sees them. So
She's listened to every bit
where
of
are your
this.
kids? Huh? Where are your kids? They need to come home. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Maggie Davis. I make videos and podcasts on behalf of animals in need. Maggie, S as in Sam Davis at gmail.com, 207-266-7673. Recordings are made in person and long distance, in depth or on the spot. If you are an animal rescuer, fosterer, or adopter who is home to or has been home to animals formerly in need, be part of it, as private or as public as you want to be. The Open Wide the Door Smartphone Conversation Project. Your story matters.